The Dyatlov Pass incident. February 1959. 9 experienced hikers in Russia's Ural Mountains. They never came back. When rescuers found their tent, it was slashed open from the inside. Their footprints led into the snow, some barefoot in -25 degrees. What they found still gives me chills. 6 bodies scattered at different locations. 3 had massive internal injuries, fractured skulls, crushed ribs, but no external wounds. The force required was like being hit by a car. 2 had missing eyes. 1 was missing her tongue. Their clothes tested positive for radiation. For 60 years, theories ranged from military tests to aliens. The truth? It was finally solved in 2019. A delayed Slav avalanche. They cut into the slope to pitch their tent, creating instability. Hours later, while sleeping, it gave way. Not massive, just enough to crush the tent with tremendous force. Their response was actually rational. If you're buried in snow, you cut your way out immediately. You don't stop for boots. They fled to the tree line for shelter. Some died of hypothermia, others trying to help them. The missing soft tissues? Animals scavenging the bodies. The radiation? Some worked at nuclear facilities. It was already on their clothes. Here's what haunts me. They did everything right. Every decision made sense given what they thought was happening, but they were already doomed. Sometimes survival instincts can't save you. That's the real horror of Dyatlov Pass. Lake Nyos disaster. August 21st, 1986. A quiet evening in Cameroon. By morning, 1,746 people were dead, plus 3,500 livestock. No explosion, no earthquake. People just died in their sleep. Some survivors woke up surrounded by corpses with no memory of what happened. The answer is simple but nightmarish: carbon dioxide. Lake Nyos sits in a volcanic crater. CO2 from underground dissolves into the water under pressure like a giant carbonated death trap. That night, something triggered a limnic eruption. 1.6 million tons of CO2 exploded from the lake and rolled down valleys at 60 miles per hour. CO2 is heavier than air. It didn't disperse. It flowed like invisible fog, filling valleys. You can't smell it, see it, or taste it. People took a breath and got nothing but CO2. Brains shut down in seconds. No warning, no pain, no chance to run. Scientists installed degassing pipes to prevent it happening again, but Lake Kivu in Rwanda holds 1,000 times more dissolved CO2. 2 million people live on its shores. Imagine going to sleep knowing the lake near your home could silently kill everyone overnight, and you'd never even know it was happening. That's not a disaster. That's a nightmare you can't wake up from. The Lake Tanganyika laughter epidemic. January 30th, 1962, a girls' boarding school in Tanzania. 3 students start laughing. Within hours, 95 out of 159 students can't stop. Sounds funny until you realize they laughed for days, some for weeks. They couldn't eat or sleep. They had pain from laughing so hard. The school closed. Then it spread. Over 18 months, it affected 14 schools and over 1,000 people. The answer? Mass psychogenic illness, what used to be called mass hysteria. These girls were under enormous stress. Tanzania had just gained independence. They were caught between traditional culture and Western education. The pressure was crushing. One girl started laughing from stress. In that high-pressure environment, it spread like a contagion, not from germs, but from social psychology. Your brain mirrors emotions around you. In extreme stress with close social bonds, it spirals out of control. The victims weren't faking. Their nervous systems were short-circuiting under stress. Their brains were glitching, and laughter was the output. Modern cases still happen. Bangladesh in 2007, Malaysia in 2017. Same pattern, High stress, close quarters, emotional contagion. What disturbs me is how it shows our fragility. We think we control ourselves, but enough stress in the right environment and our brains just break and it spreads. You're not laughing because something's funny. You're laughing because everyone around you is, and your brain can't help but join in, even when it hurts, even when you're dying from exhaustion. That's terrifying. The Dancing Plague of 1518. July 1518, Strasbourg. A woman named Frau Trophia starts dancing in the street. She doesn't stop. Within a week, 34 join her. Within a month, 400 people dancing uncontrollably. Many collapsed from exhaustion, heart attacks, strokes. Dozens died. They weren't celebrating, they were suffering. Many begged for help, but their bodies wouldn't stop. The city built a stage and hired musicians, thinking they needed to dance it out. That made it worse. The explanation? Stress-induced mass psychogenic illness, manifesting as uncontrollable movement. 1518 was a nightmare. Famine, disease, poverty crushing the population. People believed dancing plagues were punishment from God for sins. Frau Trophia had a psychological break. Others, already on the edge, joined in. Not by choice, their brains were overwhelmed. It's called choreomania. Modern neuroscience suggests basal ganglia dysfunction. The part controlling voluntary movement gets hijacked by extreme stress. What gets under my skin is imagining being trapped in your own body, watching yourself dance toward death, unable to stop, muscles screaming, heart pounding, begging for rest, but your brain won't let you stop, even if it kills you. The Bhopal gas tragedy. December 3rd, 1984, Bhopal, India. Just after midnight, water entered a chemical tank. Runaway reaction. Safety systems disabled to save money. 40 tons of methyl isocyanate, one of the most toxic gases imaginable, erupted over the city. 500,000 exposed. By morning, 3,800 to 15,000 dead, depending on whose count you trust. Over 500,000 injured. Effects still visible in children born decades later. People woke up choking, eyes burning, unable to breathe. The gas attacked eyes first, temporary blindness, then lungs filled with fluid. Victims drowned in their own fluids. Here's what makes this enraging. Completely preventable. The refrigeration unit shut off. Vent gas scrubber broken. Flare tower offline. All to save money. Workers warned management for years. They were ignored. Union Carbide's CEO fled to the U.S., lived freely until 2014. The company paid $470 million, about $500 per victim. The factory site is still contaminated, people still drinking poisoned water. This isn't a mystery solved, it's a crime unpunished. 15,000 people died because profit mattered more than safety. And here's the terrifying part. It could happen again. Anywhere, anytime a company decides safety costs too much. The Donora Death Fog. October 1948. Donora, Pennsylvania. 5 days of thick fog, but not normal fog. 20 dead. 7,000 out of 14,000 residents sick within days. The answer? Killer smog from temperature inversion. The town was full of steel mills and factories pumping out sulfur dioxide, carbon monoxide, metal dust constantly. A temperature inversion trapped it all. Cold air below, warm air above, pollution couldn't escape. The fog became toxic soup, sulfuric acid, metal particles, poisonous gases. Every breath was poison. The factories refused to shut down, even as people died. They kept operating because stopping would cost money. Rain finally broke the inversion, but 20 were dead. The companies knew. They had data showing danger. They chose profit. Donora led to the Clean Air Act, but it took 20 deaths for action. Today, Delhi's air kills thousands annually. Beijing has days where breathing equals smoking 40 cigarettes. We solved the mystery. We know what causes it, but we let it happen because fixing it costs money. How many have to die before clean air is worth the cost? The Great London Smog. December 5th through 9th, 1952. London disappeared under a yellowish fog. You couldn't see your feet. Cars stopped. Trains halted. Over 5 days, 12,000 people died. Hospitals overflowed. Morgues ran out of space. The cause? Coal smoke plus weather inversion. Every home and factory burned coal. Sulfur dioxide and pollutants trapped at ground level, condensing into particles that penetrated deep into lungs. The smog was so thick it turned day into night. People got lost on familiar streets. The sulfur dioxide mixed with fog created sulfuric acid. People breathed acid that burned their lungs from inside. The government initially denied the smog caused deaths. They blamed flu. It took months to admit truth. The Great Smog led to the Clean Air Act of 1956. But here's the thing. This wasn't natural disaster. This was us poisoning ourselves, then denying it while thousands died. Air pollution kills 7 million globally every year. We know this. We have solutions. But we keep burning fossil fuels because changing is expensive. The Great Smog isn't history. It's a warning we're ignoring. The Halifax explosion. December 6, 1917. Halifax Harbor. 2 ships collide. The SS Mont Blanc, loaded with wartime explosives, catches fire. For 20 minutes, people watch it drift toward the city. Some come to the waterfront for a better view. At 9:04 a.m., it exploded. 2.9 kilotons of TNT, largest man-made explosion before nuclear weapons. Everything within half a mile vaporized. A shockwave at 3,000 miles per hour. A 60-foot tsunami followed, then fires, then a blizzard the next day. Nearly 2,000 dead instantly, 9,000 injured, 25,000 homeless, an entire neighborhood erased. Completely preventable. The Mont Blanc was a floating bomb that shouldn't have been in a busy harbor. The collision happened from miscommunication and broken traffic rules. The explosion was so powerful it informed nuclear weapons designers decades later. What haunts me at those 20 minutes? The burning ship, people watching, curious, unaware they were staring at their own death. If someone had evacuated the waterfront immediately, thousands could have been saved. Sometimes disaster gives warning, but the warning looks like entertainment until it's too late. The Minamata Bay mercury poisoning. Minamata, Japan. Strange neurological symptoms, slurred speech, loss of coordination, convulsions, children born with severe deformities. All victims ate fish from Minamata Bay. A chemical factory had dumped mercury waste for decades. It converted to methylmercury, accumulated in fish. The more fish eaten, the more mercury in brains and nervous systems. Mercury destroys neurons permanently. By the time the cause was confirmed, thousands were affected. Chisso Corporation knew since the 1950s. They covered it up and kept dumping for years. It took until 1973, 17 years after first cases, to officially acknowledge the cause. This wasn't an accident. This was a conscious decision to keep poisoning people because stopping would hurt profits. Similar cases happened in Iraq, Canada, elsewhere, still happening with artisanal gold mining in developing countries. We've known mercury is toxic for decades, but we keep using it because it's cheap. The mystery was solved long ago. The tragedy is we refuse to apply the lesson everywhere. What this all really means. 9 mass deaths, 9 mysteries finally explained. But here's what hits me hardest. Almost all were preventable, not in hindsight. People warned beforehand. Workers reported safety issues. Scientists warned about pollution. Locals flagged problems. They were ignored because fixing problems cost money, and dead people are cheaper than safety measures. Dyatlov Pass was nature, bad luck, and weather. Lake Nyos was geology being terrifying. But Bhopal, Denora, London, Minamata, those were choices. People decided saving money was worth risking thousands of lives. And it's still happening, Right now, somewhere, a company is cutting safety corners, a factory is dumping waste, a government is ignoring warnings. In 20 years, we'll have another mysterious mass death that's completely preventable if anyone cared enough to prevent it. We solve these mysteries, learn the lessons, then forget them because remembering costs money. I wish I could end this with hope. I wish I could say we've changed, but the evidence says we haven't. The next mysterious mass death is probably being set up right now. It's only mysterious because we're not asking the right questions, or because someone doesn't want us to find answers. So here's what I'm asking you. Pay attention. When workers warn about safety, listen. When scientists warn about pollution, act. When communities report problems, investigate. Don't let these deaths be forgotten. Don't let the lessons be ignored again. Because the pattern is clear. We only act after people die. We only care when bodies pile up. We only change when the cost of not changing becomes impossible to hide. Maybe, just maybe, if enough people understand this pattern, we can break it before the next disaster, before the next thousands die needlessly. That's not optimism, that's desperation, because I'm tired of reading about preventable tragedies that happened because someone decided human life was worth less than profit margins. Aren't you? Let me know in the comments which case affected you most, and more importantly, what do you think we should actually do about this pattern? Because talking about it isn't enough anymore. Until next time, stay aware, stay angry when you need to be, and never stop demanding better. Because if we don't, who will?